All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about a project that I'm involved in right now. It's a collaboration with the choreographer Jennifer Salk, and we're working to create a interactive dance video that will most likely be desktop and mobile based. And right now we are still having conversations about what the piece is and what it means, what types of relationships that we want to have with the audience. But all in all, the work will be somewhat of a hybrid between a video dance or a dance for camera experience with some sort of game element or interactive element where the viewer has to make choices and determine the sort of outcome of the narrative, or I guess in the case of dance, it's more the outcome of the composition. So, right now, of course, we're super early on in development, and so our conversations continue about what the work is conceptually, what the story is, how we're going to put it together. While that happens, I've been in Unity developing some very early just video playback, like interactive video playback. So you can see here I have a Unity scene open. Here in my hierarchy, I've got the canvas object there, which has a bunch of UI elements. So I'm making use of Unity's UI. So if I run the scene here, you can see this screen is actually a set of videos, or it's a pair of videos that have been positioned next to each other within the canvas. So I can talk more about the technical aspects of that later on, and I probably will do more of a detailed tech discussion and demo of how the system works. But for now, you can see that this is the scene that's running, and if I click on one of the video panels, you can see that the panel sort of fades in and out, alerting you that you've selected that panel. And then if I click on this one, so what that does is it sort of activates each panel. And if I click and drag through the screen, you can see that there's a scrubbing connection between the mouse position and the video. Or I should say that the mouse position, when I click and hold and drag the mouse across the screen space, that is correlated to the actual scrubbing through the video file. So I'll click on this one and then drag through, and you can see it moving around. And right now I just have it testing out sort of how I want to develop the relationship between the two videos and what it means to sort of structure the interaction there. So in other words, like what is the task that our audience is going to do? And so right now you can see that there's this moment where this human figure kind of becomes white. So I'm going to actually click on this side and try to find the moment where they connect and where this one turns white as well. So I'll sort of scrub through it, and it looks like that one was it. So ultimately, as I continue to develop this interactive system, when you actually create these matches between the videos by dragging them around, you find these sort of correlative points, correlation points, I should say. And then that will trigger a sort of another scene or some other screen that would appear as some sort of map. So that would calculate progress or like give you some sort of progression as far as the overall piece. So you kind of, as you keep scrubbing more and more, you can kind of find different moments, right? So if I go back over here, there's one. I click on this one and there. So that would be kind of like another score. You would score another point, or in our case, you would sort of progress the composition in some way. So I'm going to actually kill the scene. So as you can see, there's just a ton to work out. But just early on, kind of trying to establish that sort of haptic touch click relationship with the audience and the video content on the screen. Trying to figure out like what actually could work, as far as, you know, is it interesting to sort of scrub through these videos and try to find matching moments, or does there need to be something that needs to be pushed further, or does something need to be more dynamic? So anyway, I just thought I'd kind of show part of the process of creating this new work. Of course, in After Effects over here, I've been creating the videos. So this is one of the panels. You can see here that I have some pretty heavy distortion on the actual images, the video that I'm using, to kind of abstract it, because really at this point it's more about the system design or the interaction design. So I'm trying to keep the content sort of abstract and not meaningless, but something that can just sort of exist abstractly, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it. So there's one of the panels, and then there's the other panel, and then I also have another composition that shows me the relationship of the two panels as well, so I can kind of develop them together. So yeah, just figured I'd show some of the process here, and like I said, I will get into more details about how this is kind of working on the back end as things progress. But basically what I'm doing is I'm just sort of hijacking the UI system, writing scripts that hijack the UI system. Like, just for instance, if we go over here to the inspector, you can see there's a mouse to slider script here that just basically takes the mouse position across the screen space, maps it to a slider object that's actually one of the sliders that's in the UI here, etc. So lots of kind of hacking around, but trying to get things working and trying to sort of figure out where the sort of interactive magic is going to happen for the piece.